Welcome to Travel Stories Unpacked, the travel podcast where we talk about all things from the silly to the serious and everywhere in between. I am your host, Ashley Newton, and thank you so much for spending some of your time with me all throughout the year because we are wrapping up our first year of Travel Stories Unpacked. And first, I just want to say to everybody who has tuned in and commented and shared our episodes, thank you so much. I have had so much fun. And this whole episode is just going to be about celebrating what we accomplished in 2024, what you can expect to see in 2025. So, of course, I had to bring on show producer Annie Yu to help me with this episode. Welcome back again, Miss Annie.
Well, I think this was a perfect episode for me to come on because, you know, as the producer, I get to see the things that get cut from the episodes.
Yes.
Maybe the things that aren't so appropriate, or we'll just leave it at that. The things that aren't appropriate.
Maybe some blooper reels.
Yeah, some blooper reels, mostly stupid things that I've said.
So can you believe that not including this episode, we will have done 45 episodes this year?
That is crazy because I feel like every time we run where we come close to thinking like, what should we talk about this week? We end up snowballing ideas into weeks of topics of things like that, and which is great because that's what travel is. It's so multifaceted.
Yeah.
Depending on your background, your age, like really, it's different for everybody. So, I mean, we could talk about this for a long, long time, hopefully.
Well, I remember when I sort of first launched the podcast and, you know, family and friends were coming up to me asking all about it. And one of the questions that I kept getting was like, well, how do you see the show going forward? Like, aren't you scared you're going to run out of stories? Aren't you scared you're going to run out of topics? And I guess just working in travel for like 6-7 years before I did this, I was like, no, I'm not worried at all because like you said, if anything, like it's always changing. People are constantly traveling, like new trends, new stories. So like there really isn't ever a lack of something to talk about.
I mean, we say it on the show. It's about everything from the silly to the serious and everywhere in between. And we've heard a lot of silly things and definitely some heavier things.
I do think that we stayed pretty true to our tagline of silly to serious and everywhere in between. And I think maybe we lean a little bit more into silly just because, you know, we're here to laugh and have a good time. But, you know, I also learned a ton of things along the way, just like being a host of this podcast. So I wrote a few of my main takeaways down. The very first thing I learned from this podcast is to always get travel insurance.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, I think the first episode that comes to mind is your friend who broke her ankle.
Oh, Fails Unpacked.
Yes.
One of our first episodes.
Oh my gosh, that story, it just kept getting more and more unbelievable. And, you know, if it happened to someone who wasn't nice or like a good person, I'd be like, whatever. But like, she was so nice.
Yeah, she's the best.
Yeah. And I'm like, why did this have to happen to someone like you? I want to protect you. Or at least buy you travel insurance. But I think she was traveling with a group, right?
Yeah, so she was with the group. So
okay.
She was insured and, you know, didn't have to like actually worry about like figuring that all out herself.
But that's the first topic that comes to mind is just the way she just shattered her. It wasn't just a broken ankle. It was
the whole foot, basically.
Yeah.
Just destroyed the bones inside of her.
And the traveling to get back, the hospital, the epidural, it was all of it.
Yeah, if you have not checked that out, that's still one of my favorite episodes. Just because it's one of those episodes that every time she keeps going, you're like, what? This cannot be real.
It's
and I promise
really
it's
unbelievable. Yeah.
Another thing that I learned is that Midwest nice does not equal Southern nice. And I learned this in our Nashville Unpacked episode because, like, you know, you always hear that, like, Southern hospitality thing, but, like, the Midwest sort of has its own reputation for, like, being polite and, like, you know, our head nods and all the silly little things we do. So
our tagline is, oop, oh. Oh, just gonna
squeeze past you there.
Let me just sneak right past you, buddy. I say it all the time. I say "ope" all the time. That's my New Year's resolution for 2025. Stop saying "ope" so much.
Good luck. It's like a part of our vernacular.
It really is, and it's such a dead giveaway that you're from the Midwest.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And we, I think, shared some Midwest pride throughout this podcast because, like, as much as I love to travel, there is no place like home. So, like,
this is true. I agree. There is no place like home.
Yeah. Another thing is that travel is fun, but it's also complicated. Like we
Mm-hmm.
said, we do tap into some of those serious topics from time to time. And, I think I've been so fortunate to just have my own horizons expanded and my own perspective challenged a little bit to, see that my travel experience is not going to always be somebody else's travel experience, whether it's, my experience at the airport or, how I'm treated in destination or even just some of those moral questions we ask ourselves, like we unpacked a lot in the World Tourism Day episode, where we were talking
Mm-hmm.
about sort of those larger impacts on a large scale that travel has on the environment.
Yeah. And I love that you bring up perspective, because one of my favorite episodes is when McKenna came on because she provided the perspective of being someone who worked in destination. Granted, it was a really, really nice hotel. It's still a destination, you
Of
know what I
course,
mean?
yeah,
Like
it's
people
still
are
part of
passing through.
hospitality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so she kind of provided that perspective from the other side. And there's a reason why her episode's the shortest because I had to cut so much. I think our episodes average like 20 some minutes. Hers was, I think, like 16 or 17 minutes. I text her a bunch of times. I'm like, just so you know, I'm gonna have to cut a bunch of this stuff.
Which is a shame, y'all, because
Because it was
so
juicy.
good. If we ever do like a members only episode or like, I don't know, like I can't remember what they're all called now, but like those platforms where like you had to pay to get like a sneak peek because not only is it that good, but it is not appropriate for the general broadcasting channels that we usually use. And let your imagination run with that. She worked in a hotel. You can only
like a
imagine.
really, really nice hotel where professional athletes would stay. We'll leave it at that.
What does that mean? Who knows?
I don't know. You fill in the blanks. But I just love that she brought that perspective to the show.
Yeah.
Just because we talk so often to people who are travelers, people who work in travel industry,
Right.
but not someone who works on the hospitality side of it. So I really appreciated her side of travel, I guess.
Yeah, and getting to share that with others because I have friends that work in that industry and it changes your whole outlook when you get to see it from somebody's perspective, and not everybody has that opportunity, right? Like it's not that you've been doing something wrong, you just didn't know.
Right. I do stand by the fact, and I wholly believe this, that at some point everyone should work at least a year in retail, hospitality, or really any service forward profession. So you worked at Circle K, right?
Yep.
That counts.
Multiple gas stations,
Yeah.
baby.
That counts. Like when you have to deal with people, you learn to become a better person yourself.
Yeah.
And especially in travel, you're having a bad day at the airport. Guess what? That flight attendant probably isn't having more fun than you.
Right.
Like a little bit of kindness goes a long way, folks.
just empathy in general for people.
Travel
in
is already
service
can be
positions.
stressful enough as it is.
Yeah.
If the worst thing that happens to you during your day is that someone at the Starbucks at the airport got your order wrong, you're probably not having a bad day.
Right. And like I know flight delays or baggage getting lost, like nobody wants to deal with that, but who you're yelling at is not responsible and cannot fix it. It's just like that's not where your anger should be focused. You want to write a stern letter to the CEO or fly a different airline, that's your prerogative.
Yeah.
But like
leave a comment on YouTube.
Fight the battles where they matter,
exactly.
people, in the comment
section. Be a keyboard
section.
warrior where things get read and taken seriously, obviously.
Yeah. And one thing that I did not learn through the show because I already really true-heartedly believed it, but it just got solidified, was that we love travel agents. I think I would say 90% of our episodes, we had a very natural call to use the travel agent, and this is why. And, I've been in this industry for a while, and like it blows my mind the amount of work that they do and, the amount of dedication that they have to their clients. But this show especially just showed me like the value that people don't know to a travel agent.
For sure. And I feel like a lot of the times when we talked about like what you would say like is a travel fail or this caused me so much stress, a lot of it could have been addressed or reduced significantly if you had a travel agent. I think about when Doug was on the show and he was talking about his destination wedding, how they used a travel agent because they were sending him and his now wife were sending a bunch of people to was it Jamaica?
I want to say
it was Jamaica. And he was like, there was no way me and Anna were going to arrange all that. So we got a travel agent to handle. I'm like, excellent. It's your wedding. You shouldn't have to worry about these kind of things.
Right. And it's sort of like we were talking about earlier. Like you just like, you don't know what you don't know. right?
Oh, I say that all the time. I don't know what I don't know until I know.
Yeah.
You know?
But it's so true. And it's like there's this idea. Now I sound like Bill Coyle. There's this idea.
We don't want you to feel like you're on an island.
Yeah. We love you, Bill.
Yes. No, my favorite one is don't call me if the bed isn't made. Call me if there is no bed.
Yeah. we just speak in Billisms around here. Bill Coyle is a KHM rock star, so he's become pretty ingrained into to a lot of the things that we do. But you really don't know until you know. So like to me, travel planning, I've always appreciated what went into it. I've always, been a detail-oriented person. But if you have never learned that life skill, I'm thinking of Melissa's episode when she was talking about helping her family and her kids sort of prepare for their London trip and all that went into sort of opening their eyes to understand, well, just because mom's a travel agent doesn't mean that I'm always going to like take care of this sort of stuff for you. So you need to know what goes into it, which I just think is such an incredible skill. Even if you are, working with a travel agent, it's only going to facilitate things and make it even closer to the dream vacation that you want when you are able to understand everything that they're doing. So like, yeah, it's a huge, huge thing.
Yeah. I mean, there are some people who, maybe they're not the best planners. Like the fact that there's a help desk, what is it, at the airport in Austria?
Oh, yeah.
For people who flew there by accident instead of Australia.
Yeah.
Like that's when he hit them with
imagine?
the bless your heart.
Absolutely.
But granted, if I ended up in Austria instead of Australia, I still wouldn't be mad because Austria is a beautiful country too.
I feel like depending on the time of year, you could have some wardrobe issues. You know what I mean? Like
that is true. But still, it's like, well, maybe at that moment you should call your travel agent.
100%.
It's amazing what a few missing letters can do.
Yeah.
But
yeah, team travel agents all the way here.
Yeah. Especially for someone who I've been on the show before where I talked about solo travel because I that's kind of like my travel style is I like to do it solo. I like to be on my own time, but it's good to know that if something were to happen, I don't have like a roommate I can reach out to that's traveling with me. I can just call up my travel agent and be like, hey, this is a true story from one of our agents. I got bit by a shark. What can you do?
Right. Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? So it's a peace of mind and I still get to experience travel my way without really feeling like I don't have some sort of security backing me up.
Yeah, I think that's a huge part of it. And the support and just feeling like, somebody's excited for your trip too. Which I think, that's half the fun is talking about it and getting excited for it and everything. So I cannot pick a favorite topic because I've truly loved everything and every guest, but I did anyway.
So did I. Did we pick the same one?
I don't know. What's
your...
Mine aren't really in any order. I picked a top 3.
Okay. How about we both say our top 1 at the same time?
Well, okay.
All right. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
World
Tourist
Tourism
traps.
Day. Oh! Okay, you literally, that's my number 2.
No.
Is the tourist
Peace
traps.
is nice, but I love roasting tourist traps.
Yeah. So
because I myself I've been to so many of them, including Niagara Falls.
Yeah, the passionate hate for Niagara Falls is so strong.
It floweth stronger than the water that flows over what you would call Niagara Falls. My hate floweth for that place.
The reason that I thought that one was so good is because it was so fun to talk about, but I also felt like it was kind of informative because
for sure.
Some tourist traps or whatever, like we said, hey, if you still want to go, that's your business, but you should at least know what you're getting into. You know what I mean?
Well, that's what I mean. Paris syndrome. People go to Paris thinking it's gonna change their lives,
right?
But really,
it's 2024.
Yeah, we can't all be Emily in Paris, you know?
Yeah. Well, or even just the bean. You know how much I hate the Chicago bean. And for me, if I was planning a trip to Chicago, it would never be a part of my itinerary. I'm just gonna skip right over that. And maybe somebody was planning a trip and we were able to also persuade them from spending a whole day at the bean. You don't need a whole day.
I think people go to the bean though because it happens to be in a very beautiful part of Chicago.
Yeah.
Like Grant Park, Millennium Park. But it's not the only thing there. It just so happens to be in a place where a lot of people go already.
So you're not
I'm
gonna
not defending
no,
it,
it's
but
just
I'm
you're
just
not gonna
saying.
believe this because you were talking about like, oh, people go there because of the area, which I think is how people get caught in a lot of tourist traps. But my mom and her household recently just went on a trip to New York.
Oh no, New York is full of them.
I was like, oh, where'd you go?
Don't say Times Square.
The whole time.
No.
The whole time.
The entire time.
The entire time. Like every night they ended up back at Times Square. And
why?
The youngest person they were traveling with, she's 19. She was like really into it. So that's where they wanted to stay. I was amazed at how little money they said they spent though for spending all of their time there. But like they loved it. That's what I was going to say is like, because my mom, I could not envision her as less of a Times Square person. Like she loves the woods and nature and hiking and like
that cannot be more. This is the concrete jungle for a reason. I know.
Well, and
that's
like,
crazy.
Like she doesn't like
what is
shopping.
I was gonna say, what did she like about Times Square?
I think really watching other people like it. You know what I mean? Like
she's just there for the vibes.
Kind of like the like I said, the youngest person they were traveling with like really enjoyed it. So that's gonna bring her joy. But I would have absolutely been like, and even when she told me, I like scoffed. I was like, what are you doing?
Right.
But she loved it. She had the best time. So like, that's kind of why I love talking about tourist traps and why that episode was so fun is we didn't even agree on everything. Like it's so subjective.
It is. But there are a few things that I think, gosh, I mean, you talk about Plymouth Rock a few times and I'm just laughing because I'm like, I don't have an opinion about that one way or the other. I just think natural formations of that size are not impressive.
Of what size?
Literally by nature.
Of what size? It's a pebble.
It's I know. But I'm saying it's not the Grand Canyon. It's not Horseshoe Bend. It's a rock.
Yeah. Even the Grand Canyon. I don't know. I guess I have to go there myself because I'm thinking of the road trips episode when my friend Will was like,
the national parks.
Drive right on through. Like it is not that impressive. It is a big hole.
No, I think I mean, I would love to. One of my bucket list destinations in 25. I really, really want to go to Utah.
Yeah, no, I mean, that has definitely climbed the list because of this pod because everybody's talking about how beautiful it is.
Like Zion. I would love to go to Zion. It just looks beautiful there.
Yeah.
So
we both had that one in our top. The one that was my actual top, though, was the World Tourism Day Unpacked. And I think for me personally, it was really fun to kind of tap back into like my journalism roots and like not true journalism because I was throwing out opinions, but, sort of ask more of those hard hitting questions and like really get into like, travel is great, but it's not without long-lasting impacts and long-lasting consequences. And I think as leaders in the travel industry and, as players and people that make their livelihood in this industry, we do have to ask ourselves those questions and we do need to be honest with ourselves.
Yeah. And I think that deserves a shout out to the Travel for Work episode. Because how often, with Chantel, I believe, how often do your friends and family say to you, must be nice? Ha ha ha. Like, listen, granted, we have the best jobs in the world. Like, I'm not even trying to brag. That's a fact. Like, we have the best, funnest job in the world, but it's still work.
100%.
And sometimes more work than when we're at home.
Yes.
But would I be doing anything else? No, but it's still work. Yeah. So when someone says, must be nice, or this and that, it's like, no, you don't understand. Like, one, we work hard to be able to have the skill sets that it takes to do this job. And two, we're working a lot.
No, I mean, it's definitely not for everyone. And like I've honestly kind of gave up like trying to get people to understand because it's like you don't understand because like, you do see me posting about how grateful I am that I was able to work from a cruise ship for a week while we were doing that training. And like, it was incredible. But it was exhausting. And you need to change your mindset to I'm not on a cruise. I am working from a boat. Like
you may see us at cocktail hour. What you don't see is us both. I think actually at one time our alarms went off at the same time and we both just shot up.
Yeah.
And it was like 6:30, 7 a.m.
Let's go.
And I think you said my alarm was very jarring more than yours was like this nice like birds chirping.
I do. It's like it's like a crescendo, you know what I mean?
But mine is like if someone hit the fire alarm. So
yeah.
One coin, two sides, I guess.
Yeah. Well, and then, your diet and your exercise and your routine and everything is just thrown to the wayside for that week or whatever. And okay, maybe not if you're better than me. Good for you if you're able to still make that work.
I thought about
like, I know like Carolyn, she gets up, she's on the track in the morning and I'm like, okay. Good for you. But yeah, so no, it is hard to work in this industry and not just get labeled with like the glam of it all. And I
Yeah.
know the travel agents deal with that all the time too.
No,
and
but the thing is, it can be glamorous at times because you're at the end of the day, you're still doing what you love.
absolutely, yeah.
It's just not. Just don't believe everything you see on the internet. Not even this podcast, because I do cut a lot out too. Take that with what you will.
Yeah.
I will say one of my favorite things to come out of this year of doing these episodes is I found a community of backpack lovers. And it's so great because I thought I was the only one that has a problem with hoarding backpacks. I have one for every occasion. I didn't even mention the one that rolls up into the size of like an envelope that I take with me. Like,
yeah, this was from our travel gifts episode, which we did pretty recently.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
The amount of love that was coming in that comment section, it was just like you said, like you found your people that were like,
people.
No, there is nothing wrong with all your backpacks. I also have all these backpacks.
Yeah, we needed like an app, like a Tinder app or something for backpacks, so you could try one out.
Oh,
and if you don't like it, you can just give it back.
Well, and all I'm thinking now,
don't steal that idea from me.
All I'm thinking now is of lounge flies, because those are like, the like branded Disney or whatever backpacks, which reminds me of our Disney Adults episode, which I had so much fun doing.
I know, and I had fun watching you and Amy do it, but I have my opinions about Disney Adults.
I know, but okay, so two things. First, in that episode, I talked a lot about being excited to see Inside Out 2. I did see it. I do not get the hype. Everybody loved it. Everybody said it was better than the first one.
The first one was great, though. I haven't seen it, but...
Oh, no, I cried in the first one. Still do when I put it on. The second one didn't resonate with me, which for the amount I panic, it should have, because that was like the main new emotion was just panic. Yeah, I don't know. The animation style didn't hit home to me. I didn't love it. I didn't love it. But I did love the episode. And I also felt like I got a sense of community from that, because the Disney Adults came out proud in full swing to defend themselves.
Be proud. Be proud.
Yeah. And I actually have a few comments that we're going to read directly, because you guys took the time to share them with us, and I cannot express how much I love reading them. It is like my highlight every morning. And this is literally how I start my day. I check all my boring stuff, your emails or whatever, and then I go right to the comments, and I cannot wait to see what you guys
I've actually never told you this. So we have access to the same YouTube account. I do log in, but I never click on the notifications at the top, because I like to leave that for you to click on. So you see that little red dot when you log in?
That makes me happy. Thank you.
I knew it would. You're welcome.
Because I do like, it's like a little present for me.
Yeah, exactly.
But I have to shout out that on a personal note, this podcast, I feel, brought me closer to my family and like the people directly in my lives.
Really? Because you roast them a few times.
I know. And they stuck around. And like,
we should do this more often.
Well, and just hearing them, in the group chat talk about what episodes they liked, or knowing like one week my brother didn't watch and he was like, I'm sorry, I'll watch next week. I was like, it's okay. But like it brought me closer to people that I, already am pretty close to, but in a whole new way, and getting their perspective on things. So, on a personal scale, it's been truly a blessing to have that. And obviously my mom is like my biggest cheerleader. If you're friends with me on Facebook, you see she shares every episode, like without fail. And she shared with me her favorite. So I have to say that her favorite was the Living Abroad Unpacked.
Really?
When they were talking about living in Germany.
And she knows that Times Square is in the US, right?
Well, I don't know if it was because, we have a story in our family of somebody who did something similar of growing up in Germany and then coming to the US. But
maybe I could see that being like a personal connection for her.
Yeah, but I also think, she's just, I think, fascinated by the idea of completely immersing yourself in another culture and how well it went for them and how accepted.
Yeah.
It's sort of it's like it's a love story. It's a Cinderella story. It's a feel good. You know what I mean? It's like it all worked out. It's the Emily in Paris, but of Germany.
Doesn't sound as sexy, does
Girls
it?
in Germany. No, it doesn't have the same hit. So yeah, those were some of my highlights. But to every single guest that has come on, thank you, because I really appreciate you sharing your stories and being a bit vulnerable there.
Likewise. I mean, I just loved hearing everyone's, perspective and opinions and stories. I mean, that's what travel's all about, is broadening yourself to the world.
Yeah. Or if it was just Ashley and I sharing all of our various icks. Like why we hate airports.
And that too, because we all have them. But you know what? We're human. It's like, it's just how we are. Like everyone likes things. Everyone hates things. Sometimes they overlap.
Yep.
But that's the beauty of it.
Sometimes they're funny.
Sometimes they make me not want to talk to you. Not you, but like the general you. Make me not want to travel and just stay in my little cave.
Yeah, that's
I love
true.
that almost as much as traveling. Did I just give myself away as a millennial?
No, I think like that's a big thing about travel though is the recoup.
Recoup, yeah.
Which we should totally talk about
We need to talk about
2025. Let's reward our 2024 participants before we tell you what you got in store in 2025. So our first comment is from Ms. Bunny Boo. And this was on the Accommodations Unpacked Hotels or Airbnb episode. And she said, definitely team hotel. I feel more secure, but initially I was like, never Airbnb, don't understand why people do it. Now I'll consider depending on my destination.
I am of the same opinion, although I lean towards team Airbnb.
I know, and I'm team hotel. And like even...
We're from different worlds. I mean, I just don't know what to tell you.
But again, like we were talking about different perspectives, like we shed a little bit of light on when Airbnb can be valuable and maybe will inspire Ms. Bunny Boo's future travels. So that makes me happy. We have another comment, and this one was on the Disney Adults episode I was talking about. This is from, any guesses on how to say this handle? Gina Michak 1580 or Michak. Mm-hmm. Either way, Gina, this is from you. She said, yes to Louisa. And I'm saying it like that because it was in caps. I ran in a Louisa costume last year in the Run Disney 10K and ran to the soundtrack of Encanto. But Princess Tiana is my fave. Gotta love a princess with a job.
Okay. Yes. Love it.
Yeah.
I agree.
See, this is what I mean. Like, we were building a sense of community. The fellow Disney lovers came running, pun intended.
Next.
And also shared her own Disney princess. So, Tiana is a good one.
She is a good one. Yeah. Demetra Papas, 9839, left a comment on our Road Trips Unpacked episode. Thank you for sharing. I will take your advice on KOA campgrounds, which stands for Campgrounds of America, right?
Yes, it does. Good memory, Annie.
Yeah, KOA campgrounds and stopping at interesting places along the way to our final destination. I can't stress enough how amazing it is to travel across Europe with a family of 6. The children bonded and gained respect for other cultures and love to travel as adults. Travel and education are the only expenses that make you richer. How did I not see that comment before?
Isn't that a good one?
I have like goosebumps right now.
Like, I love that one because it's like they literally took our advice from the episode, which is like so rewarding. But then at the end to come back with like, this is, that's the heart of the show.
Yeah, I love that. I can't believe I haven't seen that comment before, but I love the next one.
These next two weren't actually on our full episodes. If you didn't know, part of what we do on Travel Stories Unpacked is sort of break up our episodes into little digestible, fun stories, and then we share those as well. So this next comment was on a short from our camping episode.
Because some people consider camping as traveling and some people don't, but then it really got into the nitty-gritty of, well, it depends on your accommodations. I love glamping, which I understand is not camping. So, Pragmatic BLT wrote, in my opinion, if there's running water to flush your poops and Netflix to fall asleep to, it's less camping and more cottaging, but everything else counts to me.
I love the term cottaging. And that is literally what I replied to this comment. Cottaging. Not only do I love the term, I love the activity. Next time somebody asks me, do you want to go camping? I will respond, do you mean cottaging? And then let them elaborate.
So I actually haven't heard the term cottaging before, but I like it because it gives me a sense of like, I want to rock myself to sleep in a rocking chair in front of the fireplace.
Ooh. See, when you were saying rocking chair, I was thinking like, iced tea on the, like outdoor rocking chair, but you're talking inside cozy
indoor.
vibes.
Yeah. Because I like to glamp during the wintertime. Surprise, I know. But
all right, one last comment to shout out.
Yep. So the armrest debate episode, I think this was actually on a short that we did from that episode.
Yeah.
Because
it was from Airplane Etiquette. We did a short.
And I don't know if we ever came to like a conclusive answer. Right?
Ashley and I agreed on the rules.
Okay. So Eon's Infinity 534 left a comment, says, I've never even flown on an airplane. I know airplane etiquette. And this is the answers. Middle gets 2 armrests, aisle gets the extra legroom, and window gets the window. We're not animals. We live in a society.
Shout out to you. What was your name again? Eons Infinity 534. We are not animals. We are in a society. And that's just, it cracked me up. And, to take the time to comment, I always appreciate. But this actually got me thinking even more because he went so far as, or they, I should say, went so far as to say the aisle gets extra legroom.
That's why I sit in the aisle.
See, but that, you got to be careful with that. Because
I've been ran over.
Yeah, like you got to be courteous of the people still using the aisle and of your flight attendants and everything. So like, don't get too crazy with that whole extra legroom thing. You can get special seats for that.
Well, I should say even if you're watching, we're sitting down. I'm not tall. Like I'm average. I'm 5'5", almost 5'6". But it's nice to be able to stretch out.
It is. So, absolutely. Especially depending on how long your flight is.
I usually take very long flights because I'm usually flying to like Japan.
Yeah. If I'm going, I'm going.
Yeah. If I'm flying an hour to Chicago to go to the Bean, then whatever. I'm cool with that.
Would you, as a Midwesterner, fly to Chicago or would you drive?
Fly, always.
Yeah.
Because it's only an hour, but they're also an hour back. So.
Oh, the zero wash flight. Like
is that what it is?
Oh, I don't know. I just made that up. But like it.
Yeah.
So Annie, we've done a whole year. We're gonna come back in 2025. What can our listeners expect?
Well, if you notice, she said we are coming back in 2025. That's because I will be the new permanent co-host along with Ashley. Woo! Woo! So you get to see more. You can't see her, but Sam's doing the yeah. So you get to hear and see more of me, whether you like it or not. Every other week. And I say every other week because
and it's about right now we're coming to you every Friday. We're still going to be releasing new episodes on Friday, but it's going to go from every week to like every other week or about roughly 2 a month. And that is because we are alternating with our sister podcast, KHM Today. So KHM Today, if you remember from Carolyn's episode, she came on to talk about Travel Mistakes Unpacked, which is still a hilarious episode. So if you haven't checked it out, go check it out. But that is another podcast put together by KHM Travel Group that is a little bit more focused on, what's currently happening in the travel industry from a travel agent perspective. So they talk more about, like topics or headlines, but that show format is changing up in 2025 as well to move away from having a regular supplier guest to being more of like a panel discussion, with various people throughout the industry. So I think it's going to be really fun.
And the cool thing is sometimes Ashley and I can get away with saying things that Carolyn can't.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind on what makes us different.
We'll still be sort of the unhinged, opinionated, and KHM Today is still going to be a bit more of your buttoned up, factual.
Would you say it's your source for industry news and straight up fun?
I wonder if they're going to keep their tagline, because that's their tagline now.
Your weekly resource. No.
We got to do it from the beginning. You got to.
This is why neither of us host that show, because Carolyn's so good at it.
From the beginning, though?
No, you do it.
Welcome to KHM Today, your weekly resource for industry news and straight up fun. I am your host, Coraline.
All right, we're going to end it there.
So KHM Today is going to come to you on Wednesdays to the same YouTube channel where you can find Travel Stories Unpacked. So that's KHM Travel Group's YouTube channel. And that is live on YouTube as well. So you do have that live interaction. So you can directly ask Carolyn your questions, which is really cool. And that's Wednesdays at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then it goes to your favorite podcast platforms Thursday, the next day. So that's where you can find KHM Today. And again, one week you'll get us, the next week you'll get KHM Today. So no matter what, you're always getting your dose of travel fun. But just because Annie's coming on the show as our new co-host doesn't mean that we still don't want to hear from you and share all of your travel stories. So there's a ton of different ways that you can get in contact with us to continue to share your stories. Number one is you can text us directly through your favorite podcasting app. If you just go down to the description of whatever episode you're listening to, you'll see a little line that says to share your travel stories and opinions with us. And that goes directly to Annie and I. So we'd love to hear from you guys.
Especially my fellow backpackers in the community.
Yes.
Yes.
Of course, you can also still, and please do keep leaving us comments. We seriously love to see them. And if we keep getting more, maybe we'll read more in future episodes in 2025.
The more outrageous, the better. I'm encouraging the bag behavior already.
Yes. And then, for more lengthy stories, like if you happen to catch our Christmas cruises episode, you could get a sense for how we would handle a bit of a longer story that you wanted to share. So you can email us all of your travel details and all of your travel stories to travelstoriesunpacked@gmail.com. And we'll put that in the description as well. So there's a ton of different ways that you continue to share your travel stories and opinions with us as we move into 2025. So, wow, Annie, I'm excited to see what we can do together. I know we're going to have a blast. And I hope you're excited.
I am so excited because I feel like our dynamic is that we are on the same page about most things, but we differ enough where we can have a respectful conversation about it.
Yeah, I'm really excited.
Right?
I think.
Are we agreeing?
Are we?
Are we? I don't know.
I don't know. So, please stay tuned. Our very first episode in 2025 is going to come to you on Friday, January 3rd. So definitely make sure that you tune in to that. Well, everybody, thank you so much for a fantastic 2024. Annie, anything you want to say?
And this podcast is brought to you by KHM Travel Group, a leading host agency for independent travel agents. Head to khmtravel.com to learn more.
You did it!
How did I do?
You did it! That was perfect.
Did I get the job?
Yeah,
Okay.
you're hired.
All right. We'll see you in 2025, everybody.
Bye.